I'm Ben Meyer.
And I'm Rob Wright.
And this week, Travis Meacham, our boy from Tom's Games, wrote a really good article about why games developed for movies have tended to really suck lately. But Rob and I were thinking, it wasn't always that way, and there have been really good adaptations, but especially back in the day, like Tron and,
Tron, Discs of Tron, Star Wars, the original, and even X-Wing and TIE Fighter, and TIE Fighter versus X-Wing, and vice versa. Oh, goodness.
Good stuff. So we were thinking about what are some of the good adaptations, at least in the last decade or so. So, Rob, what's number one on your list?
Well, I think you would agree with me that no list about movie-based video games could be complete, if we're talking about the greatest ones, without the inclusion of GoldenEye 007 from the Nintendo 64. It's the classic. It's the OG. It is along with being probably the best adaptation out there for a movie, it is probably the greatest shooter on the console.
It's come up on a couple of other lists.
It has probably revolutionized the first-person shooter for the console when you think about it. And it's amazing. Rare did such a brilliant job developing game environments and levels for this title that were based off the GoldenEye movie, which came out 2 years earlier, and then filling it with great shooter gameplay. And then on top of it, the cherry on top of the sundae was the multiplayer features and the split screen deathmatch. Oh, I still play it today. It's classic.
I had dinner with a British guy the other day, and we were talking about my job, and he brought up GoldenEye and just remembering that summer when it came out, and him and his buddies, non-gamers and gamers alike, coming together and playing that multiplayer. I was really big, but it's probably not surprising that one of the top games had an extra 2 years to develop and wasn't a simultaneous release.
Exactly.
Another one we have on the list is Blade Runner from 1997 as well. And obviously the movie came out a long time before. It wasn't exactly what gamers thought it would be. I think they expected something a little more dynamic. But it was a good game.
Yeah, I don't know what people were expecting, because I think some people may have wanted a more fast-paced action game, but Blade Runner the movie wasn't fast-paced or action-oriented, so I'm not sure what they were thinking. But Westwood Studios made this this adventure game. It was actually billed as the first 3D adventure game at the time, and it's a very story-driven, very complex mystery type adventure game, and it may not be everybody's cup of tea, but if you're into adventure games and you are a Blade Runner fan, I don't see how you can go wrong with this game, because it takes place during the Blade Runner movie, like the events of Blade Runner, but it introduces new characters and a whole like side plot that really just enriches the whole Blade Runner experience. And the game the game just nails that Blade Runner world, that freaky world, man. Just great. So I loved it. But speaking of gaming worlds that the developers got right, and this is a weird one. I know you were surprised by this, and so was I. Lord of the Rings. Yeah, Lord of the Rings.
Not bad.
Not bad. Actually, pretty good. The Lord of the Rings trilogy, when it came out, when they announced that EA was going to be developing simultaneously released titles for all three movies, I was like, sure, that's going to be great. But you know what? They were actually good titles. Fellowship of the Ring, Two Towers, Return of the King. All three of them were good games.
Playable.
Two Towers, to me, I think was the best of the series. And it's fun to play. It's great action. It actually feels like the movie. And that's hard to do.
That is really hard, especially with the simultaneous release.
Yeah.
And that's not even counting Lord of the Rings Online, which, if it wasn't for World of Warcraft, would probably be even more popular.
Yeah, it's very underrated game.
Yeah, very underrated MMO. The graphics on that are pretty nice.
Yeah.
Another excellent console title is The Incredible Hulk Ultimate Destruction. And this is from the school of, if it doesn't work once, try again. The movie came out with the game, simultaneous release, kind of fell flat, the movie and the game, and so they went back to the drawing board and came out with a much more fun, playable title that kind of fixed the mistakes of the previous one.
It was weird because, Radical Entertainment basically made the first game with the movie in 2003, and then came back 2 years later, made another Hulk game, and, probably nobody wanted to play it, but it actually was great. They made this great sort of epic sandbox style game where, the Hulk could go tearing through the city, blowing stuff up, and have fun with destructible environments. That's what a Hulk game should be.
Be angry. You want to break stuff.
Yeah, it's one of the best comic book adaptations around, I think, which isn't saying much, but it really is a strong title. So, and speaking of strong titles,
Warriors, come out and play.
This is a weird one. This is kind of like in the vein of Blade Runner, but not really. Everybody knows Blade Runner, but I'm not sure everybody knows the Warriors.
Yeah, I think that probably hurt it as far as sales.
Yeah. I mean, Warriors, for those that don't know, 1979 classic, campy action movie that kind of... It's about rival gangs in New York City, but not kind of the way that
not real gangs. These are the Bloods and the Crips. These
not
are like
Mac 10.
guys wearing baseball uniforms and makeup.
This is really strange.
Yeah, very bizarre.
Yeah, but it's unique.
Yeah.
And, that's why people love it.
Yeah, in college, they screened it at our movie theater. We brought in 40s and we're just, getting really into it. And yeah, I mean, it's a fun cult movie. I mean, maybe with Colt 45.
Yeah, with Colt 45s. But that's basically what, Rockstar Games did, was they took that whole feeling of the movie, the uniqueness and the sort of the campiness and the color of it, and basically brought it to the game. And it takes place during the events of the Warriors the same night while all these rival gangs are converging. And they just nailed the feeling of the movie. And then on top of that, they added some great combat, melee, brawling style gameplay that made it just a blast to play. I mean, it really is an underrated gem. I think they hit it out of the park with that one. So.
Yes. And what's last on your list?
Well, this one is probably one of my all-time favorite games. And if you've read anything from me, if you've been on the forum, you've probably heard me talk about this, like a broken record, you probably know exactly where I'm going. Chronicles of Riddick, Escape from Butcher Bay. It's one of my all-time favorite titles. It's probably the best adaptation for me in recent memory. Basically, what Starbreeze Studios did was they made an Xbox and PC game that was released at the same time in 2004 with Chronicles of Riddick, the movie, but they didn't base it on the movie.
Yes.
Which is key, because the movie wasn't good. They basically...
Always a smart call.
Yeah, I mean, they basically created a whole new story that was a prequel. It was a spin-off of the Riddick series. It took place before the events of Pitch Black, which I loved. And it kind of goes into Riddick's background, how he got the eye shine, the ability to see in the dark, which comes into play huge in the game. It's so much fun to play Riddick in the dark, sneaking up on people and shivving them and blowing them away. But, I mean, the game is just filled with great action, great first-person shooter action, stealth combat, melee gameplay. So much fun. And the story has all sorts of twists and turns, and it keeps you on the edge of your seat. And my goodness, they did such a great job. And Starbreeze, the interesting thing about this is the graphics.
Graphics are great.
Back in 2004, yeah. I mean, a lot was being written about, new normal mapping technology, and I was going to give this real-life-like texture to graphics, and soft shadows are going to be great. It was really going to enhance the game. And Doom 3 was supposed to be the game that really showed that. And lo and behold, it was actually Chronicles of Riddick and Starbreeze that kind of did a better job of that and got there first. And, man, it's a classic, and I talk about this game every chance I get, so I'm going to shut up now. So.
Well, that's our list. Obviously, it's not exhaustive, and I'm sure people on the forum will remind us.
Hit us up on the forum.
Others that we have forgotten. But that's all the time we have for this week. I'm Ben Meyer.
And I'm Rob Wright.
And we'll see you again next time.